I'm not gonna lie, it seems ridiculous every time that we have to address, or at least kind of combat, some of the poor logic that comes from the people in the dog hater community, or the dog hater cult, as a lot of people are now calling them. But when it comes down to, comments and stuff, it's always interesting to hear some of the things that some people say. And this video isn't in response to canine aversion, but more so somebody who apparently was also shamed away from canine aversion's group, who is also a dog hater but wants to come to our channel and try to start shit. So there's a few comments from this individual that I'm just gonna make a quick reference to and then give my response. And as per usual, when it comes to the videos, it's in the description as well. We at Novakast do not approve of any form of bullying, harassment, etc. when it comes to doxing, cyberbullying, in any regard. So please don't do it. Now, one of the most recent comments that this individual posted, and by the way, I won't use their name, but like I said, I'll make a quick reference to their comments. They mentioned that doctors never recommend dogs for any disability, which is strange because considering, we use dogs for a variety of people with disabilities when it comes down to physical or mental. And they mentioned how doctors promote medical technology and dozens of therapists. And when it comes down to it, one, whether or not the doctors approve of the use of a service animal, you got to realize it's that person's decision, the person who is getting the service animal. It's their decision and their choice to get the service animal. So at this point, especially with, by the way, at the point that you fail to kind of rebuttal in every single one of my videos thus far, at least the recent ones when it comes to service animals, is the fact that I mentioned clearly, especially since canine aversion failed, or at least took what one person wrote out of context, that it's the person's choice whether or not they use a service animal. Again, when it comes down to it, it is that person's choice whether or not they use it, regardless of whether or not the doctor recommended the service animal for whatever disability that they have. And it's really sad when people that disagree with this individual's comments, they proceed to claim that we are hating, or at least we have a hatred for the advancement of technology, when that's not the case, especially when it comes, again, because we have to repeat ourselves multiple times when it comes to these individuals, that regardless of whether or not, one, the doctor recommends a dog or service animal to somebody who has a disability, it's the person's choice of whether or not they decide to use a cane or whatever advancement of technology, or therefore a service animal. It's, again, and it's all about respecting that person's decision. Just like when it comes down to, respecting and understanding that person's decision. For instance, as an example, trying to respect and understand the fact that, there are certain people that are afraid of dogs, which we say this time and time again with our videos, or at least my videos, as well as the podcast, that we respect and, or at least try to respect and acknowledge those people who are afraid of dogs. But at the same time, we also have to criticize those who give false information, as well as fearmonger to the individuals who are definitely afraid of these animals. In fact, going a little bit further when it comes to their responses or their comments, they mention how, one, canine aversion despises or hates them, and claims that their approach when it comes to dealing with the dog problem, I'm using quotes by the way, is the approach of tolerance and kindness. Though, to be perfectly honest, I think it's ironic that they claim that they're for tolerance, considering that tolerance in of itself, by looking at the definition, is the ability or willingness to tolerate something, in particular the existence of opinions or behaviors that one does not necessarily agree with. Therefore, when it comes down to, understanding, or at least, accepting some opinions that are different than yours, which is completely different than what this individual does or is doing in the comments, where they're claiming, by the way, continuing on claiming that dog owners are responsible for killings. Now, I want to assume, what they're trying to say is, dog attacks in general, which doesn't make any sense, considering, not all dogs are going to attack somebody or maul them. And even though there's that, I want to say 1 out of 5, or I don't want to say 1 out of 5, but, the few chances that the dog does it sporadically, where just out of the blue they attack somebody, usually the main reason that they attack an individual or attack something is due to it being in defense of itself. But, that's facts for you. Last thing I want to talk about, because, again, I wanted to make this quick, is this individual apparently wanted to try to persuade me to change my mind about dogs, which is kind of seems like a fruitless effort, or at least a I don't know the best way to put it. I guess you could say fruitless, because let's face it, in case they haven't seen the entirety of my videos, or at least the beginning of my videos, I showcase my 2 dogs at the beginning of every single one of my videos usually. I left them out of this one because, well, I wanted to make this quick and I didn't want to spend too much time on this video. But here's my final thoughts on the whole situation, especially when it comes to dog ownership and people who are afraid of dogs or don't like dogs, hate dogs, whatever. Regardless of whether you hate or like dogs, especially when it comes down to people who have disabilities, whether or not the doctor decides to, recommend or promote a service animal, it is, the person's decision who is getting the service animal, whether or not they want it. Sure, down the line there'll probably be some technology that helps people, but again, it's their decision whether or not they get it or not. So, in that respect, we should accept and, using this person's word, tolerate that person or that group of people's decision for how they deal with their own health. But anyway, that's just my opinion on the whole situation. What are your thoughts? Leave in the comments down below. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you guys want to follow us on social media, links are in the description down below, as well as check out our daily content and the weekly podcast. With that being said, this is Rob Novakast signing off. Have a good one, take care, and peace.